Hi, this is Comic Talk for June 17th. I'm Josh, and this is Drew with me as always. Today we'll be talking about Thors #1, Runaways #1, and Prez #1. So today we'll start with Thors #1. This was written by Jason Aaron, pencils by Chris Sprouse, ink by Carl Story, and coloring by Marty Gracia.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Close enough.
Works for me.
All right. So what happened in Thors?
All right. Well, going into this, I want to say first of all that I am not a fan of Thor at all.
Okay.
I think he's pretty lame. Just all like the Boy Scout type characters like him and Captain America and Superman. They can fuck off. And I just really don't have time for that shit. That being said, I was super into this. Jason Aaron is a genius. I really can't say enough good about it. So it starts off, Thors, like this whole Thors concept is really about basically police of Asgard. They're all appointed Thors, they all get the hammer and stuff like that, and they go around solving murders. Unfortunately, they don't have a mystery machine. I wish they did. Some kind of mead mobile. I think it'd be super tight.
Yeah. This is CSI Thors.
CSI Thor.
Yeah.
Definitely. So they have this new case. There's a dead body that pops up. Actually, 5 dead bodies. 5 dead women within the course of 1 week. And the boss tells them, like, look, you need to get this done fast or you're losing your hammers. You're not Thors anymore. It's a little bit more on the Thors. Storm has somehow become a Thor.
Yes,
I don't know
Stormborn Thor.
Yes, Stormborn Thor. Groot is a Thor.
I am Thor.
I am Thor.
Yeah.
When I read that panel, I was like, oh my.
Yeah.
That's so perfect. There's a little bit of competitiveness between the Thors. They brag about taking down Hulks. They take down Ghost Riders at one point, kind of argue about who took down more. They take down the Ghost Riders because they find them at the scene of the crime, whatnot. Turns out they're clean. They have nothing to do with the murders. So one of the Thors goes to Throg, which is a frog Thor.
Right.
What else would it be? And he points out that all 5 of the murder victims are actually the same woman. They're different ages, they come from different kingdoms, but they're all the same person.
Right. This is Battle World.
Yeah.
Right. So there's multiple versions of everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they're tripping out like we've never had a serial killer before who just repeatedly kills the same person. So one of the Thors goes off and he's going to meet his last informant. We find out that it's Loki. He's curled in this little box in this gutter, just generally homeless looking. And he ends up killing the Thor that he is the informant for. But he does give up the name Jane Foster, who is the lady that keeps getting murdered over and over again. Right.
Okay, so do you know who Jane Foster is? Are you?
I was going to ask you about that.
Are you Marvel enough here?
It sounds familiar, but I can't place it.
She's the classic Thor love interest. The
okay.
nurse, Jane Foster.
Okay.
I also am a bit angry at you for just saying a Thor and not Beta Ray Bill Thor. Being a Thor fan, I love Beta Ray Bill, so as soon as I saw him on the cover, I was extra happy that we were reading this. Just an awesome character. I love his backstory. I've loved every version of Beta Ray Bill I've ever seen, so I was happy he was in here.
Yeah, I had no idea who he was. I like the line where he said that his informant would meet with him but not the other Thors because he looked more like a horse and less like a jackass.
Yeah, yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, in regards to the art, I always like to talk about the art on this stuff pretty early. Mm-hmm. This felt to me very much like an Ultimate book. Mm-hmm. Lens flare, just lens flare everywhere, which always makes me think of the Ultimate Universe, especially like the early Ultimates runs. I don't know if I love it, but it is what it is. So if anybody's curious how this looks, it looks like an Ultimates book. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. What did you think of the art?
Again, it wasn't different enough to really catch my attention, but I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it detracted from the story, which is the main thing really for me.
Sure.
Something artwork that adds to the story is absolutely, like, I love it You know, when I come across it, it just blows my mind every time. But most of the time, I just hope that it doesn't detract from anything.
Yeah, just looking for serviceable. I loved the juxtaposition. This idea of Thors being homicide detectives is just such... How does he come up with this, right?
Yeah.
So strange. But it works. It's sort of an interesting new spin on the cop drama. I don't know how it'll play out long term. I don't know if it's the sort of thing that's going to run thin quickly or not.
I don't think necessarily. I mean, how many years have we had Detective Comics? You know,
True.
I mean, the cop drama is sort of that, like the empty canvas, so to speak.
Sure. Yeah,
you know?
you can sort of paint with any brush for the cop drama.
Right. Yeah, it's like a sitcom. Like, well, this roommate is really like into cleaning, you know, and neatness and stuff like that, and then the other one's just a total like hippie and a mess, and ooh, there's gonna be some confrontation here, you know. I mean,
but to me, Thor is such a sort of beat 'em up kind of guy. You know, I don't think of detective work when I think of a Thor. You know, I think of hitting things with hammers. You know, so it makes it feel clever and interesting at the front end. I'm just worried about longevity of Thor solving crime.
I got to give it up to Jason Aaron. Especially, man, I've been reading a lot of Southern Bastards lately, and the dude just oozes creativity. I think it'll have a good long run.
Well, it's certainly original. I've never seen a cop drama with these sort of characters.
Right.
You know, with just sort of beat them in the head sort of guys running the department. So that's definitely interesting.
And I do like some of the old like callbacks to like some Viking stuff. Like there's a lot of mention of like mead, you know, and just the spelling of like certain words and stuff like that. It's a nice touch.
Yeah, the cop bar that's like a mead hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. So far the mystery's clever too. You know, it's like a good murder mystery. Which again is surprising, but I guess it's also you know, another check mark for Jason Aaron, I guess, you know.
I think we were both kind of apprehensive about putting this on the pull list.
Yeah,
I think we only
there was a big question mark on whether we should even read it.
And the conclusion we came to was, well, it's Jason Aaron, let's give it a shot. Like it'll probably be good, whatever. And it worked out.
Yeah,
this was great.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, then, so that'll take us to our next choice for the week. That's Runaways #1. This one's written by Noelle Stevenson. The art's by Sanford Green, and coloring by John Rausch. Is it Rausch?
I believe it's Rausch. Yeah, this is the closest we've come to 100% pronounceable names.
Yeah,
on the show.
Almost there. So, you want to give us a rundown on Runaways, Drew?
Sure. So, the opening scenes are kind of like this commercial for the Victor Van Doom Institute for Gifted Youths. And the idea is he gathers these promising youngsters from, you know, all the battle world places and everything like that, and then puts them in the school and, you know, teaches them how to fight and whatnot. And then after the final exam, they can be put, is it like the Doom Patrol?
It's not the Doom Patrol, the Doom... I don't know, the Doom Legion.
Doom League of Avenging or some shit. So the kids are about to take their final Doom exam, all of our runaways, and unfortunately they're stuck in detention. So we get a little bit of a flashback before that. And the kids are just kind of like walking around doing their thing. There's all the girls are in this gang called the Night Witches. And there's this bratty little girl named Molly who wants to be a Night Witch so bad. They won't let her because she's literally like 12. She definitely has the strongest powers out of anybody that's introduced, though.
Yeah, that's pretty classic with her character, actually.
Yeah, see, I don't know anything. Again, Marvel, whatever. So they're in detention. One of the kids figures out that he can kind of screw with the supervisory robot and just convince him of whatever, that he was about to let him go, and he was going to give him ice cream or something like that.
The Doom bot that's the detention monitor, basically.
Right, yeah, and they convince him of things that, you know, a normal 15-year-old kid would try to manipulate any adult to do. So they get out, and Bucky, the Winter Soldier, which how many times are they going to change how old Bucky is?
I know. Well,
this whole... like every year, like Bucky...
This comic I don't mean to stray here, but since you bring that up, this comic seems to totally just break the ages apart. Like, it just doesn't care. You know, everybody's just whatever age they want them to be. Like, it doesn't seem to have any relevance to the normal timeline. Which
I guess I could probably go back to the Battle Worlds thing where we have like separate, you know, universes and whatnot.
Right.
But Bucky's just a senior in the Doom Institute right now. He fancies himself a bit of a hall monitor. I think they pointed it out. He likes to be in charge. So he decides to go ahead and let him take the final exam. And then we find out that Valeria Von Doom is the headmistress of the school, and she doesn't want to let them take the final exam.
Okay, so right off the bat with this one, this is a vast departure from the previous Runaways.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head who did third series Runaways. I know the first and second were Brian K. Vaughan.
Right, and then Whedon takes over for the third.
It was Whedon, yeah. And it just makes me nervous, especially when somebody tries to take one of Brian K. Vaughan's titles, because he just has such like an iconic thing that he does with, like, you know, the humor and the pop culture references and stuff like that. I can't imagine anybody else writing his stuff. Like, what if, you know, they brought back Why the Last Man with, like, Robert Venditti or something like that. And be like, are you serious? Like, you're really doing this to me? Mm-hmm. I thought he did actually a pretty good job. It doesn't feel like a Brian K. Vaughan comic.
Is this a male writer or a woman? Do you know?
What's the name?
Noelle.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, Noelle, it sounds like a woman name to me, and I don't mean to be sexist, but it feels a bit feminine in the writing.
Like in what regard?
It seems to focus a lot on female characters with a broad array of femininity to them. You know, like you have that Sana character that I thought in the first few panels was a male. The Frostbite, I think her name is. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a guy, and then it turns out it's just a big, beefy female, you know, which I was pleasantly surprised about, actually. But, you know, with like the night, what were they called? The
Night Witches.
The Night Witches, you know, the whole thing was sort of female-driven. So I wonder if it's a female writer.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's hard to say, which I guess is a pro for the writing, you know, usually if you can tell.
Right, yeah.
That's not so great in either direction.
True, yeah.
I think he or she made a really good choice here to go in a different direction with this. If anybody's curious, I would say that this is more like Wolverine and the X-Men or maybe Avengers Academy than anything Runaways. It's clearly supposed to be an X-Men style book, like an old school at the Xavier Institute sort of thing, but with the twist of it being run by Doom.
Right.
You know, but it's the same idea, it's the same dynamic of characters, young mutants in the world trying to move past just being in school. You know, they want to be more.
That being said, it's still funny.
It is funny.
Yeah.
But Wolverine and X-Men is funny, and Avengers Academy are funny. They are lighter, funnier books, which is not what I expected, because Runaways, although funny, that's really not normally the main draw of Runaways. It's more dark humor, I guess. Mm-hmm.
I think that's what attracted me to like the original Runaways, though, in the first place. Is just, I mean, it's amazing that Brian K. Vaughan can really make so many pop culture references and then like stay relevant. Mm-hmm. Like, I think I was talking to you the other day about when I was reading again Why the Last Man, and like they mentioned Ebola, you know, which is just like, you know, a few months ago we had that whole Ebola bullshit going on. And Why the Last Man was written like at least a decade ago.
Yeah.
Let's go to the artwork.
Very just Marvel 616 status quo. Just like the last book, except instead of being more of the Ultimate style, it's just more of the classic. It reminds me of any random run of Amazing Spider-Man or like New Avengers or something.
It's generally kind of light color palette, you know, not real dark and intense, and
yeah, pretty safe but not bad in any way. Just sort of tell the story,
right,
and get out. You know, stay out of the way.
Predictions going forward, and I know that's super hard to do with any Runaways title.
Yeah.
Because I know in 5 issues it's just going to kick us in the ass.
Yeah, well, I mean, clearly, if it's the Runaways, they're not going to succeed in their final exam.
Right.
They're probably going to stumble onto something terrible, I would assume, because it's the Runaways, and they're going to be on the run. I would assume all of the characters in the detention room that we set up, which includes Jubilee, Cloak and Dagger. The snake-haired girl, by the way, was great.
Yeah, yeah.
When it was going through and telling what everybody's powers are, and her powers is snakes for
Snake
hair.
hair. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so that there's a lot of little touches like that I liked, and I think there's a good group dynamic. And I think they're going to be stuck with Bucky Barnes on the run.
Yeah, I could see that too.
And he's going to be the surrogate father of the group that is constantly frustrated, which could be pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, almost maybe like a Deadshot and Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Like, just everyone else around him is just a complete insane asshole. You got Captain Boomerang, who's just this weirdo Australian, and then there's Harley Quinn, who, you just never know. And then he's like, dude, come on, can we please just go murder people now? Like,
There's a lot of physical comedy in it, which I like. There's a classic gag of everybody leaning against the door at one point and then falling through it.
Yeah.
Things like that. The Doombot with the howdy wave, because right as he put the chip in or whatever, I think he was moving his hand, so it's just kind of stuck there. At one point, Bucky picks him up over his shoulder and carries him off, and he's still
still waving
in the wave. So that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of little touches like that. So I think there's going to be a pretty strong humor slant to it, which is always nice.
Yeah.
Especially in a Marvel book. I think that's where Marvel tends to excel, is in the humor. It tends to be a little more funny than what you get in most of the other publishers, I think.
Yeah.
So that being said, that does bring us to our third comic of the week, and that's Prez #1. This is a DC title. It's written by Mark Russell. It's penciled by Ben Caldwell. Inks by Mark Morales. And coloring by Jeremy Lawson.
Yeah.
Those
Have you
are
heard of
all,
any of these people?
All names that I've never heard of before but can actually pronounce.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, 6'1", 37 and a half at the other. So Prez #1, what's this about?
So it opens up with a group of senators. They call themselves the Colonels. And they're picking out the next presidential candidate. Most of the people they mention won't work because they have old incriminating selfies, or they're a closet case, or just something like that. I got the vibe that they're probably like the neocon party, like Republican and stuff, because they talk about, we want somebody who has our, God-fearing mental state at heart and stuff like that. So then it cuts forward to a debate about food stamps between the two frontrunners. And it has the classic, we don't want people to abuse this, what if somebody's using it for drugs, whatever. And then just out of left field, one of them's like, look, I have a solution that will feed everybody, it'll eliminate the risk for drugs whatsoever, basically the perfect thing. So right there I'm kind of intrigued. And then next panel, taco drones. This dude's proposing taco drones, and there's even a little picture of this drone with a little taco on it, and it's going to distribute taco drone apparel, which is this big, basically a billboard walking around for the taco drone.
Like a NASCAR outfit.
Right, yeah. Or if you've seen the movie Idiocracy, where he pulls out the Carl's Jr. shirt and the Spangles pants or whatever that he has. Yeah, it's similar to that. So then, aside from that, there's this girl, Beth, who her dad's dying. She has terrible insurance, needs a lot of money for some nanotech stuff, but at the time she's just working at a shitty fast food place. Her and her friends are messing around, making this video about a training video for the place they work at, and she's scrubbing the grill and accidentally gets her pigtail in the deep fryer, and thus the internet sensation Corn Dog Girl is born. The candidates are going around trying to promote on these weird ass, I guess maybe they're YouTube shows or something like that.
Yeah, but it's the, ow my balls.
Yeah, these super just immature kids running them and stuff like that, and making jokes about butts and fucking drugs and whatever. So in light of all this, Anonymous, like, the hacker group Anonymous, decides that they're going to start a campaign for Beth to be presidential candidate. She is young. We find out through dialogue that there's been some legislation passed. It was originally for corporations when they just started declaring themselves as people that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can still be president. They really generally feel that nobody really gives a shit about the election. They don't like either candidate. So like, here's fucking corn dog girl, This is who we support.
The important key here is that legislation is passed that allows Twitter and Facebook voting.
That too, yeah. Which they use to increase voter turnout and stuff like that.
Right.
But another point on that, in the current election, it's still not working out because really nobody gives a shit. Nobody likes these guys. And then the very end of the issue, there's these corporate icons, and I use that term very literally. It's like one of them's a smiley face on like a suit body. You gotta assume it's Walmart. There's like the head of all these corporations, and he's, trying to get the other ones to rally around him. Like, where are your balls? These are the people that serve us. We don't play the game. We are the game. And then it ends.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you mentioned Idiocracy right away, because this is very clearly inspired by Idiocracy. I have to think that it's quite literally the inspiration for this. It seems so in line with that movie, a very similar feel and style. Mm-hmm. That it has to be mentioned right off the bat.
Yeah. Difference I would say is people don't seem overall less intelligent in here. I mean, in Idiocracy, everybody's like a total idiot.
Right. This is maybe 40 years sooner.
Yeah.
But it's the same kind of feel.
Yeah, I would say the general feel of society is the same, but people's response to it, I think, is more just apathy. They really don't care. It's like, there's ads all around us everywhere and just whatever.
This comic is unabashedly sophomoric, maybe, would be a way to put it. It's sort of on the nose, I guess, might be a better term for it.
Like in what regard?
It sort of goes for all the setups that you would expect it to, based on what it's trying to say. But I think it does it well, and I think they're trying to world build here. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to hit the cliches. Because we've been doing a lot of number ones, we've seen this a lot.
Yeah.
We even saw this in, I think we specifically talked about the cliche elements to world build in Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
In our first video a few weeks back, which we'll link below. And I think they're doing the same thing here, but obviously in a completely different style and world.
Yeah,
but it's the same kind of thing where they're trying to give you some cliche beats to make you understand sort of the feel and the tone of the book. Mm-hmm. For example, her father's dying of some strange, influenza or something, but
yeah, something like that.
But it's almost presented as a joke. You don't come out of reading that portion of the comic feeling like down or upset about this dying father. It's just sort of like, here's the setup to sort of move her forward.
It's kind of funny in that way. It's like, I need $4 million because my dad has influenza.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. It's almost joking about itself.
Right.
Like, okay, we have to have some sort of setup. So here it is. What else would it be? Or somebody in her family's dying.
Yeah, and I definitely actually respect when people do that more. When they acknowledge the cliches that they have to go through and just make it obvious that they know.
Yes, I know this is a cliche. You know this is a cliche. Now let's move forward.
Right.
So they had a lot of that. There's a lot of small touches in this book that I really liked. During the debate that they were having on the show, did you notice, it was kind of in the background, but they had the percentages of voting for who was following.
Yeah, and the guy with the taco drones was just like killing it.
He was killing it, 81% approval.
81%,
yeah, he was just killing it every time he'd hammer on those taco drones or the chicken fajita burrito or whatever it was, It's like, what, do you hate fun? Do you hate chicken burritos?
Why do you hate fun?
Yeah. Then bang, 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 those numbers would go up. So there was a lot of those clever little moments, a lot of internet culture stuff happening, a lot of commentary on internet culture. What'd you think of that? Did that interest you? Or?
Yeah, I thought it was great. It definitely has like a modern feel to it, I don't know that this comic could have come out in any other decade really and made sense
Yeah, no,
You
definitely not. It's definitely a product of its time.
Right. Yeah. Even if, I mean, in Idiocracy they sort of like predict, these things that are going to happen and stuff like that. But I don't think, like, even going that far, I don't think it would have worked.
Whereas Idiocracy, although it was a critique on current culture, like they really extrapolated out pretty far to sort of lessen that blow, which then meant that they also came kind of harder with the exaggerated elements. Whereas this tones it down a little bit more, puts it in what feels like the slight future, and makes it a little more directly relevant to now, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I also like the, what was it called? Like, Who Wants to Be a Billionaire game or something like that.
Yeah.
In the end of it, this kid's got to, like, shoot himself in the leg for money so his parents can come to America.
So he can come to America.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so...
They're like, this really is the American dream, isn't it?
Like the other books, this is definitely set up for longer term. All these books this week feel that way to me. I don't feel like a whole lot happened in any of them, and I feel the same way with this one. It's sort of a laborious read a little bit at times. I kind of felt.
This one, do you think?
I felt so a little bit.
I thought it was a ton of fun. I totally disagree. I would read it again right now.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Okay, I think this is one that I would like more as we get deeper into it. I'm definitely interested in it.
Yeah.
I think I will probably like this one quite a bit, but this one wasn't the top of my pick for the week.
Okay.
Artwork, what'd you think of the art?
Serviceable.
Yeah. Yeah, this reminded me of a lot of Image work, but not Image 5 to 10 years ago. The first 20 or 30 issues of Invincible.
Okay.
It kind of has that feel, very sort of clean, very computer graphics. You can tell that this was completely inked and colored in Photoshop or something of the like, which I'm not for or against, but
It's fine.
it was okay. Any final words on any of these today, Drew?
I'm still shocked that Thors didn't suck.
Thors is probably my pick of the week.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really got to go with Prez.
Really?
Honestly. But yeah, it's just, it feels so close to home, and it just makes fun of everything that I hate and highlights everything that I think is evil, and it's fantastic. From the minute I read the phrase taco drone, like I was sold.
Yeah, Taco Drone was definitely a highlight.
Yeah.
I could read about taco drones every week.
Right. Yeah. So here's to hoping that taco drones come back in our next issue of Prez.
Yeah, do you hear that, Mark Russell? Bring back the taco
Don't
drones.
fuck this up.
Yeah.
We need them.
All right, well, this is Comic Talk. Thanks for tuning in. As always, like and subscribe. And if you have any comments about what we talked about this week, or you want to tell us what we should review, what we shouldn't review.
How to live our lives.
Yeah. Do you like our shirts? All right, thanks. Have a good day.